Hey, it's Mark with Spinnaker Property Management, and I just wanted to take a moment to start a series of conversations with you about the initiative that's coming to the voters in the city of Tacoma. It is an initiative, and it's initiative number 2023-01, and it's about creating some new regulations around protections of the renter. And I'm just going to take a moment to read this with you and then give you some commentary and then set the stage for the following segments. So, Citizens Initiative 2023-01 concerns enacting rental requirements for landlords and rental rights for tenants. This measure would require landlords to comply with the health and safety laws before raising rent or evicting a tenant, set limits on certain rental fees, require landlords provide 2 notices to increase rent, and offer relocation assistance when the increase is 5% or more, create a defense against certain student/school year evictions between November 1st and April 1st, and evictions against service members, seniors, families, and others with protected status under the measure, and provide penalties and enforcement mechanisms. So let's jump into part 1, the findings. Section 1, findings. Number 1, the people of the city of Tacoma hereby adopt the citizen initiative for the purpose of protecting families and tenants and reducing homelessness. This measure is intended to A, requires landlord to comply with tenant protection laws before raising rent or evicting a tenant, prohibits unfair or excessive fees, requires landlords to provide notice of rent increase and pay relocation assistance when significant rent increases require tenants to relocate. D, prohibits certain student/school year evictions and cold weather evictions. And E, provides penalties and other enforcement mechanisms. And number 2, this measure is designed to protect families, promote community, stabilize the rent market, and reduce homelessness. It is Tacoma's intent to continue its long-term commitment to maintain vibrant and diverse neighborhoods within the city. The regulations contained in this initiative balance the needs of the tenant, the landlord, and Tacoma while creating a partnership to ensure safe, healthy, thriving rental community in Tacoma. Providing housing for Tacoma residents directly impacts quality of life at the most basic level and therefore requires regulation to ensure that it's equitably undertaken. So, as you've heard in the language here, they use the word equitable, and the party behind this initiative, the Socialist Party, is not at the table to communicate with anybody other than their own agenda. So there is no equity in the conversation of support between the renter and the housing provider. In addition to that, they talk about how it's going to reduce homelessness. Well, in no way does this initiative in any of its parts reduce homelessness. Now, it could be considered that they're thinking that if somebody doesn't pay their rent, that they wouldn't go through an eviction status, that would reduce homelessness. But that's not the conversation that you and I have about making a difference in homelessness. In reality, the initiative portion about a no eviction moratorium really just allows renters to stay in the home whether they pay the rent or not. And as you'll hear through the rest of this series, that this really is a support all for the renters, which, hey, look it, the renters have lots of rights and they could even use more. But when it comes at a cost that the housing provider can't afford, not only financially, but also to navigate and understand the law, and it's a burden that the housing provider has to shoulder themselves without a partnership, that's not equity. That's called agenda. You know that I work very hard to have equity in the conversation. We want to have an impact in affordable housing here in Tacoma. This initiative is not the path to take. And remember, as any part of this initiative it is considered to be whole and complete. Only a portion of it doesn't work. It's either adopted or it's rejected.